Front and Center. Front and Center. A focus on important and significant developments affecting the lives of Filipinos, not only in the Philippines, but also those living and working around the world. Join us in Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome to Front and Center, where we focus on developments in the Philippines, legislation that provides policies and directions that strives to promote a better economy for the country, issues that concern the welfare and well-being of every Filipino. All of these and more will be Front and Center. And you can watch this program on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel, that's Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You can hear this broadcast on our audio streaming through PBS Evox receiver app and also on our shortwave broadcast through shortwave frequencies and for English programs because the U.S. Agency for Global Media has provided a new shortwave frequencies for the summer 2026 and for English program airing from 200 to 330 hours UTC, that's 15.640 megahertz. 17.750 megahertz and 21.720 megahertz. Meanwhile, for our Filipino program here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service, airing from 1730 to 2030 hours UTC, the shortwave frequencies are the following. That's 9.920 megahertz, 12.120 megahertz, and 15.190 megahertz. And this is your host, Jerome Toledo. Let's begin Front and Center on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
While the Philippines has observed Holy Week last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday, the Iran has assured the Philippines that the safe, unhindered, and expeditious passage of Philippine flag vessels, energy sources, and all Filipino seafarers through Strait of Hormuz. So the Iran has assured that. And the Department of Foreign Affairs said the assurance was made during the phone call between Foreign Affairs Secretary Maria Teresa Lazaro and its counterpart, the Iranian Foreign Minister Syed Abbas Araghchi. The DFA said the development is vital for the Philippines as it will not only secure the safety of Filipino seafarers operating in the area in the Strait of Hormuz, but also help ensure security for the country, particularly the energy security. And given the Philippines imports the majority of its energy requirements from the Middle East, according to the statement of DFA, these assurances from Iran will greatly facilitate the steady delivery of critical oil and fertilizer supplies here in the country, the Philippines. And DFA spokesperson Annalyn Ratonel, meanwhile, said the passage would not involve any toll fee amid reports that Iran is planning to impose at least $1 per barrel, estimated to be around $2 million for each vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz. As she puts it, on question regarding the reported toll fee, there is no toll fee. And both foreign ministers, the DFA said, affirmed their commitment to maintaining excellent relations and achieving lasting peace through continued dialogue and diplomacy. And the spokesperson of the Foreign Affairs Department said the passage would not involve any toll fee amid reports that Iran is planning to impose at least $1 per barrel, estimated to be around $2 million for each vessel transiting the Strait of Hormuz. And the call came after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. instructed the DFA to initiate talks with Tehran to ensure the safe passage of Philippine-bound ships through the Strait of Hormuz. And Tehran maintains, as of today, maintains a de facto blockade on the critical maritime choke point following the joint military operations mounted by Israel and the United States on February 28, which targeted its nuclear sites and killed its supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And that said blockade on the waters has since sent energy markets into shock with rising oil and fuel prices, prompting governments across the world, including the Philippines, to implement austerity measures. Last week, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. declared a state of national energy emergency, which is one of the kind and a first in the world, to address potential disruption in fuel supply and stabilize the country's energy sector. But of course, we do not know, or we don't have much knowledge of which of the ships passes through the Strait of Hormuz are Philippine flag. But and also if that diplomatic gain will translate to a lower oil prices. So we will have to wait and see on that. And because of that, Energy Secretary Sharon Garin acknowledged those concerns. So she made a statement on Saturday explaining, and I quote, "This is not a perfect solution and it does not eliminate all risks, but it is an important step that improves our position in a highly uncertain global environment." And she added that even if much of our fuel is sourced from regional hubs like Singapore or Korea, the crude oil these come from often passes through the Strait of Hormuz, and any disruption there creates a domino effect that impacts global supply and ultimately prices at the pump. So that's what we are seeing right now. The increased oil prices and the continuous blockade of Iran in the Strait of Hormuz. And Secretary Garin points out then that what the Philippines have secured is a safe and preferential access. She particularly points the diplomatic action between, or diplomatic talks between Tehran and Manila. Since Iran continuously fires missiles across the strait, landing at energy facilities across the Gulf region, particularly in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. And Secretary Garin interpreted that Iran's assurance will first reduce the risk of disruption to our oil supply or energy supply. Second is strengthen the protection for Philippine-linked cargo, and lastly, we to improve the safety considerations for Filipino seafarers. And this development will not immediately bring down fuel prices, as she puts it, nor does it resolves our long-term structural challenges in energy. And those remain priorities that the government is continuously addressing. So that's what she said there in the statement she released on Saturday. And what does this help? Is to ensure continuity of supply and stability, especially at the time when further disruptions could significantly affect the economy and the people. And she recognized that there are questions or even concerns regarding that about the scope and impact of that arrangement between Iran and the Philippines, and of course that is part of a healthy and informed public discourse. And lastly, she puts in a statement that the government will continue providing clear and accurate and timely information, and to act decisively in protecting the interests of the Filipino people. And just a note, we agree on what Secretary Garin said on a Facebook post on Saturday, because obviously that move is purely diplomatic in nature, but eventually the outcome of that talks will land on the energy aspect, which will soon have an effect rather on the oil supply and its prices, but we just don't know yet when will it happen. So we will have to wait and see on the developments on the outcome of the talks between Tehran and Manila. And the job of being the head of the energy department is not as easy as it seems, but with the mix of practical and effective strategies, we can say that the government is working and on top of the situation, so as it should be. So we will have to wait and see on the developments regarding the outcome of the talks between Iran and the Philippines. And up next, here in the program, we will talk about the warning coming from the government regarding the energy situation, because there are lots of fake news, misinformation related to the energy crisis that we are dealing and we are facing right now. So the government has warned those fake news peddlers that continuously spreading the fake news on the situation of our oil supply here in the country. That's all coming up here in the program Front and Center on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Mabilis ang trivia, dagdag talino. Heto na ang Dagling Kaalaman.
Catcalling. Bawal na. Alam ba ninyo na bawal na ang catcalling? Pagsipol, pambabastos, at sexual advances sa mga pampublikong lugar? Ayon sa Safe Spaces Act o Anti-Catcalling Law, ang mga ganitong kilos, kahit pa simpleng biro lang, ay may kaparusahan, multa, community service, at kahit pagkakakulong ang maaaring kaharapin ng lumabag. Tandaan, ang lansangan ay para sa lahat, hindi para bastusin ang mga kababaihan o sino man. Respeto ang puhunan, hindi pambabastos.
Kaunting kaalaman na malaking dagdag talino. Abangan muli ang susunod na Dagling Kaalaman.
Paano nga ba mag-register para magkaroon ng schedule sa Bagong Pilipinas Presidential Action Center? Narito ang mga dapat gawin. Gamit ang iyong mobile device, pumunta sa eGov.ph app. Pwede itong i-download mula sa Apple App Store o sa Google Play Store. Gumawa ng account. Ilagay ang email address, valid mobile number, pagkatapos ay makakatanggap ka ng one-time code sa iyong email. Gamitin ang code sa eGov app para sa verification ng iyong account at ng mga impormasyong ibinigay. Congratulations! Meron ka ng eGov.ph app account. Pwede mo na ma-access ang iba't ibang serbisyo ng gobyerno kabilang ang mga serbisyo sa Bagong Pilipinas Presidential Action Center.
Time to celebrate kulturang Pinoy. Tradisyon, musika, sining, literatura at iba pa. Anything and everything fun and Filipino. Ito ang Pinoy Kultura.
Naaalala niyo pa ba ang mga katagang ito?
Amoy pawis, amoy araw. Ano ba yan? Puro sugat ka na naman. Bakit wala na naman kapares yung tsinelas mo? Ang dungis mo.
Ma, tama na. Ayos lang, di ba? Masaya naman tayo naglalaro sa kalye ng sipa, patintero, agawang base, habulan, jolen, trumpo, text, at marami pang iba.
Some Filipino games just show how creative we are. All we need are players and nothing else. Ang saya balikan ng ating kabataan.
Kain, tulog, laro, laro, at laro.
O ano, game na?
Pagkabilang kong 3, nakatago na kayo.
Yan ang Pinoy Kultura because our culture is cool. Time to celebrate kulturang Pinoy. Tradisyon, musika, sining, literatura at iba pa. Anything and everything fun and Filipino. Ito ang Pinoy Kultura.
How could you ever forget the magical feeling that courtship or panliligaw brings in your younger years?
High school life, for my high school life, every memory kay ganda.
Nandyan yung itutulak ka ng tropa whenever your crush passes by.
Ang saya ng high school, senior years in my school, di na mapapantayan.
Then you start sending her love letters and flowers at paminsan ay maglalakas loob ka to ask if you could walk her home.
A fallen for you.
And it doesn't end there. May sayawan o disco pag birthday ng barkada and you get to see her there too.
Till I met you.
Kikiligin ka pag sulyap ni crush. Yayain mong sumayaw pag tugtog ng pinakahihintay na love song. And that evening seems so perfect na parang kayo lang ang tao sa dance floor.
I love you more each day.
Oh, the beauty of courtship in Pinas.
Yan ang Pinoy Kultura because our culture is cool.
Front and Center. Front and Center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome back to Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. And before we head into our second topic for the program, again, to reiterate our shortwave frequencies, because the frequencies for our shortwave broadcast has changed for the summer. So for the English program, airing from 200 to 330 hours UTC, that's 15.640 megahertz, 17.750 megahertz, and 21.720 megahertz. And that's for the summer. And for the Filipino programs, airing from 1730 to 2030 hours UTC, that's 9.920 megahertz, 12.120 megahertz, and 15.190 megahertz. So there you have it, the shortwave frequencies of Radio Pilipinas World Service for this summer. So those frequencies have changed this summer. So you have to watch out for our programs in those frequencies mentioned. Okay, so let's proceed to the fake news peddlers, because the government has warned, as we put it, fake news peddlers beware. Malacanang on Sunday warned against the spread of fake news related to the country's energy situation, saying the violators or those people commits or spreading fake news will face legal consequences. In a statement, acting Presidential Communications Office Secretary Dave Gomez said those individuals who deliberately fabricate and disseminate false information to exploit the ongoing energy challenges will be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. To quote it, to the fullest extent of the law. So that's what Secretary Gomez has warned. And Gomez said spreading fake news and disinformation undermines public trust, destabilizes the economy, and threatens the welfare of every Filipino. And the statement came after the palace flagged a viral social media post that urged the public to stock power banks, solar equipment, flashlights, candles, food, medicine, and water for an energy lockdown starting April 20, so this month. The post also encouraged users to share the information. So this one, the particular post spreading the fake news on the energy lockdown, also encourages the users to share the information. And that particular post has been tagged as fake news. And also, since we're talking about the fake news, another post announcing an emergency lockdown starting April 10 has also made its rounds on social media. Supposedly due to the COVID-19 Cicada variant, a post the Department of Health denied. And he reminded the public, Secretary Gomez reminded the public that publishing false news is punishable under Article 154 of the revised Penal Code, with penalties of up to 6 months of imprisonment. When committed online, penalties may be doubled under the Cybercrime Prevention Act. And under Section 1 of that said article, it states that any person who by means of printing, lithography, or any other means of publication shall maliciously publish as news any false news which may endanger the public order or cause damage to the interest or credit of the state may face a penalty of arresto mayor, which means ranging from 1 month and 1 day to 6 months, or a fine ranging from 200 to 1,000 pesos. So that's what the article or that section said. And Secretary Gomez said there will be a zero tolerance for those who maliciously and deliberately commit these acts to advance their personal or political vested interest. And any attempt to mislead the public about energy security, supply, or pricing to sow confusion will be treated as a serious offense. So that's what Secretary Gomez has stressed. And the Palace Media arm also also said it has intensified monitoring on social media platforms and information channels to detect and counter disinformation campaigns, particularly that those may mislead the public on energy supply, pricing, and security. And Gomez said the agency's anti-fake news desk, in coordination with the Department of Justice, is prepared to file charges against individuals found spreading deceptive information or attempting to manipulate markets. And President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has already declared a 1-year state of national energy emergency as the government implements measures to address the impact of global oil price volatility amid tensions in the Middle East. And the PCO urged the public to rely on official sources and verified information, emphasizing the need for responsible use of social media. And Gomez said to every Filipino on social media, stop and think before you post or hit share. So basically, Secretary Gomez warns the public to be mindful of what you are sharing in or on social media. As a saying goes, think before you click. And in these difficult times, as Secretary Gomez ended, sharing unverified posts can cause public harm. So always verify information through official government channels before you spread the information. And hence, because of that, the government will not tolerate that kind of alarmist behavior, and it will give zero tolerance for fake news peddlers amid the energy emergency that we are facing right now. And the government will do everything to protect the public and protect its interests. And as we know, last month, March, PCO Secretary Dave Gomez said the fake news threatens public welfare and undermines democratic institutions. That's true. And he stressed that a healthy democracy depends on an informed public anchored on verified and accurate information. And in connection of what we are saying, PCO has already set up an anti-fake news desk where citizens can report suspicious content for evaluation and possible action by concerned agencies. And communications arm of the government will also coordinate with digital platforms such as Meta and Google to address coordinated disinformation campaigns. And Gomez emphasized that the campaign is not a war on words but a defense of the people's right to truthful information while upholding press freedom. So again, just a reminder to our Filipinos living here in the Philippines and abroad, be mindful of what you are sharing, because right now we are in the middle of the energy crisis, as the oil prices continuously going up and oil supply continuously thinning, or it gets thinner by the minute. Although the government has already purchased millions of oil barrels from multiple sources. So, and also we have an information that a certain large oil company has purchased more than 2 million oil barrels, or crude oil rather, from Russia. So it's a great development, because it on that particular purchase, our oil supply will last for up to 50 to 60 days. So it's a good thing that public and private sector are working hand in hand to address the rising oil prices that is brought by the Middle East conflicts. And when we come back here in the program Front and Center, we will be speaking to our lawmaker from Marikina City 2nd District Representative, and also a chairperson of House Committee on Ways and Means, regarding the action of the House of Representatives on this crisis that we are facing right now, the oil price hikes, and how it is affecting, and how the Congress is responding on this particular scenario. So we will speaking with him in just a few moments, but Front and Center will be right back after these short messages.
Mas pinadali na ang government transactions sa tulong ng eGovPH Super App. Pwedeng-pwede mo nang magawa ang lahat ng ito. I-download ang eGov app sa iyong smartphone o tablet mula sa App Store o Google Play Store. Pagkatapos, ilagay ang iyong mobile number at i-authenticate gamit ang one-time PIN o OTP para marehistro ang iyong account. Saka ilagay ang iyong mga pangunahing impormasyon at kumpletuhin ang facial recognition technology para sa verifikasyon ng iyong pagkakakilanlan. Para sa mas mabilis at mas maayos na serbisyong panggobyerno, gamitin na ang eGovPH Super App.
Mabilis ang trivia, dagdag talino. Heto na ang Dagling Kaalaman.
Paggamit ng maliit na plato, nakakabawas ng timbang? Parang hindi ka pani-paniwala. Subalit ayon sa scientists, nakakatulong sa pagpapapayat ang paggamit ng maliit na plato. Napag-alaman ng researchers sa Cornell University na dahil sa paggamit ng maliit na plato, nabawasan ng 30% ang dami ng calories na kinakain ng mga respondents. Pero ito ay posible lang kung present ang dalawang kondisyon. Una, dapat ang tao mismo ang magsaserve ng pagkain sa kanyang sarili dahil kumukonti ang kinukuha niyang pagkain. At pangalawa, hindi dapat binabantayan ang pagkain ng tao.
Kaunting kaalaman na malaking dagdag talino. Abangan muli ang susunod na Dagling Kaalaman.
This is a public service announcement.
Isang paalala mula sa National Telecommunications Commission, National Capital Region o NTC-NCR. Ang kanilang Oplan Contra Tax Scams. Oplan Contra Tax Scams. Binabalaan ng publiko na sakaling kayo ay makatanggap ng kakaibang text messages sa mga di kilalang numero o di kaya ay mga text messages na may kahina-hinalang mga link. Huwag pansinin, huwag pindutin, huwag i-click ang link.
Huwag i-click ang link.
Ipagbigay alam agad sa NTC website ntc.gov.ph o kaya'y sumulat sa kanilang email na contratextcam@gmail.com. Sa mga panahong ito, huwag padaya, maging wais na madla. Makibahagi sa Oplan Contra Text Scam.
This is a public service announcement. Public service announcement
From PBS, Presidential Broadcast Service, and Radyo Pilipinas.
Huy, nabiktima ka na ba ng fake news sa panahon ng digital media? Learn how to spot fake news. Check the source. Kung di legit, dapat magduda. Check the purpose. Informative or troll post at clickbait lang. Check the ownership. Mapagkakatiwalaan ba ang pinagkukuhanan nito? Check the time and date. Baka naman outdated na yung news na yan, ha? SPOT. Together, let's spot fake news. Tiyakin ang katotohanan, fake news ay labanan.
A friendly message from PCO, DepEd, CHED, DSWD, DILG, PBS at Radyo Pilipinas.
Front and center. Front and center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
This is a public service announcement.
Discipline is the key. Umiwas sa aksidente sa daan. Ang pagmamaneho ay may kaakibat na responsibilidad, hindi basta mapaandar lang ang sasakyan. Kilatisin ang sarili, ang kahandaan sa manibela, siguruhing inyong konsentrasyon ay hindi magagambala. Importante rin na ating laging isipin, init ng ulo ay huwag pairalin, bagkus kaligtasan ng lahat ang siyang dapat unahin. Isang mahalagang paalala mula sa Presidential Broadcast Service at Radyo Pilipinas, Radyo Publiko 738.
This is a public service announcement.
Public service announcement
From PBS, Presidential Broadcast Service at Radyo Pilipinas, Radyo Publiko 738.
Time to celebrate kulturang Pinoy. Tradisyon, musika, sining, literatura at iba pa. Anything and everything fun and Filipino. Ito ang Pinoy Kultura.
Isa sa mga napakagandang alaala nung bata pa ako was visiting Luneta, running around the well-manicured park, staring up at the Rizal Monument, wondering sino kaya siya at bakit may memorial siya. Yung higanteng relo. Aba, I made sure to pull my parents so I could stare at the floor clock. I couldn't even read the time then pero tuwang-tuwa pa din ako. At eto ang mas nakakatuwa sa Luneta, we didn't really need money to enjoy the park. It was for free.
Namamasyal pa sa Luneta nang walang
Yan ang Pinoy kultura because our culture is cool.
Front and center. Front and center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Welcome back to Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Still with me, Jerome Toledo. We are trying to reach out to the chairperson of the House Committee on Ways and Means and the Marikina City 2nd District Representative. That's Representative Miro Kimbo. We are going to talk about the response of the House of Representatives regarding the situation that we are facing right now, the oil price hikes, because it affects all of the sectors from food to transport, because as the oil prices continuously rising, there's a threat that food prices will climb up significantly, although there are some commitments coming from the manufacturers and supermarket owners that they will not raise prices by this month. They made that commitment to Trade Secretary Cristina Roque, and we will discussing also about the potential income losses that the government may incur because the fuel or the excise tax or the suspension of excise tax has been approved by the president itself. So how is the Congress is responding to this, and how they're going to regain those potential income losses. So it's a good thing that we're going to talk about this particular issues with Representative Miro Kimbo. But in the meantime, we will just give you a short break to discuss this matter. Front and Center will be right back.
Mabilis ang trivia, dagdag talino. Heto na ang Dagling Kaalaman.
Thyroid cancer, pwedeng magamot kung maagang na-detect. Halos 90% ang 5-year survival rate ng mga taong na-diagnose ng thyroid cancer, lalo na kung ito ay na-detect ng maaga. Ang mga bukol sa leeg, hirap sa paglunok at paghinga, pamamaos, paninikip o pananakit ng leeg o lalamunan, at namamagang kulani o bukol sa leeg ng mga sintomas ay hindi dapat ipagsawalang bahala. Magpakonsulta agad para magabayan sa angkop na gamutan.
Kaunting kaalaman na malaking dagdag talino. Abangan muli ang susunod na Dagling Kaalaman.
Mas pinadali na ang government transactions sa tulong ng eGov.ph Super App. Pwedeng-pwede mo nang magawa ang lahat ng ito. I-download ang eGov app sa iyong smartphone o tablet mula sa App Store o Google Play Store. Pagkatapos, ilagay ang iyong mobile number at i-authenticate gamit ang one-time PIN o OTP para marehistro ang iyong account. Saka ilagay ang iyong mga pangunahing impormasyon at kumpletuhin ang facial recognition technology para sa verifikasyon ng iyong pagkakakilanlan. Para sa mas mabilis at mas maayos na serbisyong panggobyerno, gamitin na ang eGov.ph Super App.
Mabilis ang trivia, dagdag talino. Heto na ang Dagling Kaalaman.
Nasubukan niyo na bang gumamit ng QR codes? Ang QR codes o Quick Response Codes ay naimbento noong 1994 ni Masahiro Hara, isang engineer ng Japanese company na Denso Wave. Pangunahing layunin nito ang pag-label at i-track ang automotive parts. Sa pagnanais na maikalat at makatulong ito sa lipunan, isinulong ng Denso ang Advanced International Standardization at ginawang open source ang technology. At ngayon, ito ay ginagamit na sa lahat, mula sa mobile payments hanggang sa restaurants, event tickets at authentication system.
Kaunting kaalaman na malaking dagdag talino. Abangan muli ang susunod na Dagling Kaalaman.
Center. Front and center. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
All right, welcome back to Front and Center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Still with me, Jerome Toledo. Okay, unfortunately, we don't have the representative from Marikina City Second District Representative and Chairperson of the House Committee on Ways and Means, Representative Miro Kimbo, as we're going to talk about the because recently there is a talks in the House of Representatives regarding the setting up of the mega committee composed of 13 House committees, and we would like to ask him who will lead or chair this particular joint meeting, because this is a large House committees that they're going to set up here, and because since 13 House committees will be involved in this particular meeting, what will be the key issues that the Congress hopes to clarify or better understand during this joint meeting? And also, will the House of Representatives consider inviting a resource person from the private sector? And aside, because obviously the committee will be attended by government officials and also fellow lawmakers, and also in the talks is included regarding the repeal of oil deregulation law. So is the Congress open for the calls of some sectors, particularly the public transport sector? Are they open on discussing this particular provision or the particular law, which because of the oil deregulation law, this makes the government away from the regulating oil prices, and the oil prices right now is being dictated by world markets, so there is no government intervention. So would there be any repeal that may happen in the oil deregulation? Also, that's one of the discussions there in that particular mega committee. And also on Sunday, Senator Ping Lacson said the suspension of the value-added tax and excise tax on fuel, which was passed into law and signed by the President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., which is primarily aims to curb rising oil prices, could severely affect the Philippine gross domestic product, is in as much as 320 billion pesos in revenue losses. So, and that particular loss could hamper long-term economic growth. So what is the Congress response on that? And how can the Congress regain such potential income loss? And also the Philippines, meanwhile, has secured more than 3 million oil barrels since the Middle East conflict began. And one of them was from Petron Corporation. So we are talking about that earlier in the program, and how the government is actively looking out for more to extend the oil supply. So how the Congress is will be able to provide more support to the executive department, particularly the Uplift Committee or the Unified Package for Livelihoods, Industry, Food and Transport Committee to execute its plan to prolong our oil supply, as this conflict do not have a definite end. And I would like to ask, because the need for the multi-committee approach, and also would like to ask his reaction on the recent reach deal between Iran and the Philippines regarding the oil supply situation here in the Philippines, and also the Rescue Act filed by fellow lawmaker Representative Javi Benitez, because that particular bill is similar to the Bayanihan laws that was passed during the pandemic. But and also since the General Appropriations Act has been passed this year, the 6.793 trillion peso budget emphasize on job creation. So would there be a revision or review on the particular budget? We will have to discuss that as well with Representative Kimbo. And how will the findings on this meeting fit into future legislative or oversight actions? Okay, so I think we now have on the line Representative Miro Kimbo of Marikina City 2nd District Representative and Chairperson of House Committee on Ways and Means. Good morning, Representative Kimbo. Thank you so much for joining us in the program, Front and Center on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Magandang umaga po.
Good morning. Okay, so can you tell us about this a mega committee that the House of Representatives will be set up? I think that's will be composed of several committees. And who will lead this committee, Representative Kimbo?
Yeah, there will be 13 committees. Ito ay under the direction and instructions ni Speaker Bojiti na magkaroon talaga kami ng long-term legislative plan at hindi na maulit itong oil crisis na ito. Or the very least, kung mangyari ito, it's mas resilient na tayo. Makaka-address tayo nung hindi tayo gaanong napapadapa.
Ayon, okay. Okay, so what will be the key issues that will be that the Congress will discuss? Hope that the Congress will hope to clarify or better understand during this joint meeting, Representative Kimbo.
Well, there are really two areas that need to be addressed. One is yung ating electricity or yung ating energy sector, kung how we can make it more resilient by pushing for more renewable energy, anong incentives ang inakailangan dyan, so that hindi na tayo umaasa sa petroleum or sa langis. And then pangalawang sector is yung transportation, both yung private at saka yung public utility vehicles.
Yeah.
Kailangan natin i-increase natin yung ratio or yung ating magkaroon tayo ng specific targets pagdating sa electric vehicles na mas kinakailangan natin, and even for private. So, hanapin natin ano yung mga incentives na yon para mangyari ito, because these things will not happen accidentally. Government has to drive it and provide the necessary roadmap para magkaroon tayo ng malalaking investors.
I see. Okay, and the plan for electric vehicle is is included in the talks in the joint committee that is about to be set up by the House of Representatives. And also, would you invite the private sector to hear their side, because they're the ones affected by this crisis?
Can you repeat that? Sorry, which sector?
Private sector, because they're the one affected by this.
So the private sector is very, very important, no? Pero ako tingin ko is the first thing that we need to address, very basic things na kinakailangan is magkaroon ng even for public vehicles for government agencies.
Yeah.
Yan, halimbawa yan, pwede na natin pakialaman yan, pero wala pang policy on that. So, kailangan ba ng legislation dyan para magawa natin? And then pangalawa, on the private side talaga is, how do we encourage manufacturing as well as purchase by our local population? Yan ang ano yung mga kinakailangan batas na that they will need, whether it is a tax incentive, tax holiday, para ito ay ating ma-address.
Okay. And also, Representative Kimbo, the Philippines has secured more than 3 million oil barrels since the Middle East conflict began on February 28th. And one of them was from Petron Corporation. But this is a private oil company. And the government is actively looking out for more to extend the oil supply. I believe our oil supply now runs at 50 days, more than 50 days. How the Congress will be able to provide more support to the executive department, since the government has set up the Uplift Committee to execute its plan to prolong our oil supply, because this conflict does not have a definite end.
Well, one thing talaga in terms of, there are two issues there with the oil. No, one is the price, which is skyrocketing, and then pangalawa is the supply. So on the supply side, kaya nating ma-address yan by coming up with matagal nang pinag-uusapan na strategic petroleum reserve policy. So ito ay isang petroleum security measure natin na ang Pilipinas at any point in time should have the ability or should be able to store at least 60 days na supply ng gasolina within the country. Now, that really requires a legislation. So, isang bagay yan na kabahagi yan sa pag-uusapan dito sa ating hearing sa Wednesday.
Okay, great. Okay, so since we're talking about the legislation, would you consider the talks on repealing of oil deregulation law? Is the Congress open for this?
Well, not repealing, because I think the oil deregulation law by itself is great legislation. We are off today than when we were nung wala pang oil deregulation law. Mas masakit yun, mas matindi yun.
Yes.
So kung nangyari ito noon, talaga mas mabibigatan tayo. So ang kailangan lang natin is we need to be able to tweak it just so that in times of emergencies, merong nagiging pwedeng hakbang ang gobyerno para matemper itong volatile gas prices. So not repeal, but just tweaking and then looking at things pwede natin kung paano ito makaka-address, especially during emergency situations like today.
Okay, that's as Representative Kimbo said, there will be no repeal, but just to tweak the provisions under that oil deregulation law. And also a few more questions, Representative Kimbo, because there's a House bill filed by Representative Javi Benitez. He names it as a Rescue Act, which aims to create a proactive, permanent mechanism for economic crisis management. So, would you support on fast-tracking this bill as a chairman of Ways and Means?
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're actually meeting, not just one committee, but 13 committees. It's really to come up with the appropriate legislation that can address all these issues on a long-term basis.
Okay, that's great. Okay, and also, would you consider reviewing the General Appropriations Act of 2026? Because that budget, as House Speaker Boji III calls it, people's budget, emphasizing on job creation, education, healthcare, and food security. Would you review this so that it can address the impact of the oil price hikes?
Yes, definitely. So, tingnan natin ano yung achievable, ano yung relevant dyan situation that we are in today. That's part of what we will be hearing on Wednesday.
Okay. And lastly, how soon the Congress can pass legislations or bill regarding to address the would this be? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, we're hoping before the June break we will be able to finalize the bill.
Okay, just before SONA or State of the Nation address.
Yes.
Okay,
You're correct.
Okay, so that the government can respond better on this situation.
Yes,
okay, that's great. All right, thank you so much for joining us in the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity. Maraming salamat po.
Okay. And that was Representative Miro Kimbo, the chairperson of the House Committee on Ways and Means and the Marikina City 2nd District Representative. We now end this broadcast front and center here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service together with our technical team headed by Ms. Susan Aison on Wirecast, Justine Ocias, and audio streaming Mr. Leo Magpayo. This is your host, Jerome Toledo. Until next time, mabuhay.
You have just heard and watched Front and Center. Front and Center. Join us again for another edition here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Front and Center.